Hello and welcome.
Yeah, hello everyone. Yes. Hello Hamad. Hello Farah. Hello Yusuf.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
hi
Hello, everyone.
Yusuf. Hi Hamad. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're just gonna wait couple of minutes until we have more people because they are joining, and we're gonna start in 2 minutes, maybe, Darren.
We'll just see who else attends and then we'll begin.
Okay, great. And of course, I know it's very difficult for people to join after working hours unless they are really interested in having some insight and a new, let's say, new view about any topics that will be discussed in these kind of webinars. And I assume some of the people, I assume they have their, I think their kids going to exams in this period of the time, and many people, let's say, busy with starting preparing for their Christmas leave. So we're hitting the ground before the 20th of December when everybody actually will be switched off.
Makes sense.
Yeah, good, good. So the mic is yours, Karen, Darren. When you want us to start?
Okay, well, let's see if we've got a few more people coming. This will be a very interactive webinar. So if you would like to come on camera and if you would like to join in, I'd love to see your faces and we can chat about what challenges you have and how I can help. Hi, Yusuf.
Good. Yeah, hi, Yusuf.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Good.
Good. I'm good.
Everyone.
Oh, hi, Farah.
Farah,
Good.
hello. You're on mute, just in case you.
Oh, sorry. I just said hi. Hi, so how are you?
Yeah,
Hi,
hi,
Darren.
hi.
I did some lip reading, and I think I guessed. Uh, let's see if Hamad will join us. Can we coax him out? Hamad, do you fancy joining us? Okay, and we've got someone else coming in.
Good.
So bear with us while we just grab the latecomers. Um, if you could grab a piece of paper and a pen, it would be great. Because
Okay.
there'll be some questions.
Okay.
Okay. I think we have Sizdia Hussein. Thank you for joining us. And I think, hey, Darren, you want to start?
It's all right. We've got Hamad coming back, so I've just
Okay.
admitting. And we've got another person, so bear with me.
Mm-hmm.
No, gone again. Okay.
Good.
We have some
Okay.
tech problems. Let me just see. They were here, then they've gone. Oh, well.
Hmm.
Strange. Okay.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
It's 4 minutes past. Is everyone all right if we start?
Yeah, I think we will.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
good. So, thank you everyone for being here on time. And honestly, having a webinar, it's very new, let's say, concept on the Kuwaiti culture, specifically the working culture that we need to invest in our, let's say, self time or time with our families just to gain some knowledge And sometimes people think if the knowledge is free, so it's worthless, but that's the contradict. We're trying to giving you some very precious, informative knowledge, which will drag you, of course, to continue and pursue your digging more into these kind of subjects. So negotiation is very attractive and very let's say it's very vague sometimes, because people think the negotiation is just, let's say, I can read a book and I can negotiate with any kind of clients I have, or partner, or family, or even our kids, or whatever. So negotiation, it's a little bit, there's a methodology and there's so many schools. Darren has one of very interesting school of delivering this kind of knowledge called the sticky learning. For that, I'm, let's say, partnering with Darren to bring these kind of methodologies to Kuwait, to empower our leaders and our, let's say, our experts in banking, education, and investment, other kind of sectors, how they will negotiate, specifically in gaining the deal. There is a book written by Trump called The Deal. And this is how this guy or Trump reached the presidency. The deal. I'm honestly ordering the book and I'm gonna read it, because this is how people negotiate. It's all based on negotiation. So I will leave the floor for Mr. Darren to introduce himself and what is the sticky learning methodology that he come up with regarding the negotiations. So Darren, please go ahead.
Thank you. I'm going to start with a question because I don't like talking about myself. The question for everyone here is, what one problem would you like to solve in negotiation? And let me see if I can help you in the next 30 minutes. Now, I've got a whole agenda of things, but if you could put in the chat or tell me, what one thing do you want to solve? Farah, please.
I think especially as a woman, I think there's a gender aspect to it. So I kind of want to get what I want without seeming too pushy, because I think that pushes men, especially who are sometimes usually your manager, away when you're being too pushy.
Oh, lovely question. Gender aspect. All right. So I'm going to talk a bit about push and pull in a little while. That's the bit I'd like you to look out for, which I think will help. Okay, someone else. What's the one thing you'd like to solve so you get some value from the time you're spending here? Yusuf. Just because you're here. Oh, Ahmed. Go on, Ahmed. What's yours? He jumped in.
Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Da and Mrs. Suha.
Yes. Hello.
Hi. Actually, one very frequent problem me as working in risk management is in many ways finding a middle ground. And when we propose a solution for certain risk situations, we find it difficult to mediate sometimes between different parties. I mean, just to reach a middle ground between different sides of the argument. So that's something that I'm frequently faced with.
Okay, I think I understand what you're saying, Ahmed. I've written it down. Let me see if we can crack something here together. We also have about 10 minutes at the end for Q&A. Who else would like to share a one thing they'd like to solve in negotiation skills? Yusuf? It's just because you're in my eye line.
Yeah. Hi, Ben. Actually, if we want to talking about the communication, how we make the communication easy for the another parties.
Okay.
So, for example, if we want to give any solutions about something what we have it in our works, how we are summarize it and give it an easy way, easy idea or easy thinking.
Lovely question. All right, we'll just ask one more person, see if they've got something, and then we'll move on. One more person. What do you have that you'd like to solve here today? Okay, we have no takers. Oh, Hamad.
I think I got one. Yeah.
Hamad, go
on. I'm always being afraid that I get outsmarted and being rejected. Yeah, for example, I'm the head of customer service, so I always I'm always in demand for something for my people. And my managers always being, outsmart me in something and then they reject it.
Okay, I'm keen to know more. I'm not sure I can get it. Just tell me another 20 seconds on that so I can understand it a bit better, please. Maybe an example?
For example, I always want to expand my teams. I want some help for increasing my headcount,
Yeah.
They always got something to reject me, like improve your sales, then we'll talk. Do this, and then we'll talk.
Okay. Okay. I might have something for you, Hamed. All right.
Okay.
I
Thank
made
you.
it. Right. We've got about 30 minutes together. So is everyone ready to rock and roll? Cool. Fabulous. All right. First thing I'm going to do is let's talk about sticky learning, not us promoting ourselves, but in terms of why don't we achieve behavioral change after training? What are your thoughts? Why is it we go on training and do nothing differently afterwards? Go on, Farah.
Habits are hard to break.
And hard to form. Okay. So when I was at school, we did double maths every week with Mr. Clifford. I hated him. I hate maths. But we did it every week for about 5 years. All right. So we did that. And it was repetition, repetition, repetition. Learning, learning, learning. And then I go and join a company as I did at 20. And suddenly I can learn time management in a single day. Doesn't work. So we take everything we know about education, which is repetition, and then we go to the corporate, we go on a one-day training course, nothing changes afterwards, and we're all surprised. That blows my mind, the change from education to corporate. So what we talk here about at Sticky Learning is doing training like we did driving. Now, how many lessons do you think the average person takes to learn to drive? Any answers? It's only a bit of fun.
Maybe two or three.
Okay. All right. Well, here in the UK, we do 30 lessons.
I think more than five.
Okay. Now, we can't drive here, but we do 30 lessons. So what that's called in learning terms is spaced repetition. We do a lesson, wait a week, we do another lesson. A bit like me learning maths at school. So when we learn something, it has to be over a period of time. And what we're trying to do is prod and poke our brain with virtual classrooms, face to face, and we even have things like coaching cards, where we give these to people to help them learn. But it has to be over a period of about 6 weeks. Okay. Now, a German psychologist called Hermann Ebbinghaus found the forgetting curve. How much do you think we forget of what we have learnt in 30 days? What percentage do you think we forget? Who's got an answer?
80%.
Oh, you're close, Farah. Now, it's more like 95%. Now, one next question. When do you think Herman discovered this? What year? Recently?
Maybe in the 20s or 30s.
Okay. So he discovered this in the late 1850s. And still today, with the forgetting curve as part of our learning understanding, we still do one-day training courses. What we need to do is repetition over time. Now, Herman discovered two things. One, that we forget an awful lot over time, but we didn't need research to understand that. We know that. But two, he said, we forget what we've learned unless what? What was the second conclusion? We forget it unless we go on.
Practice it or act
Oh,
on it.
you and Herman were like this. Yes, you're absolutely right. So he discovered these two things. We've got to practice it. So if I was going to learn to drive and I was in a corporate, they'd send me on a one-day training course and then say, Darren, at 5 o'clock at the end of the day, you can go and drive. You can't. So we have to do a program, repetition, lessons over time. Okay, Second question, how do we ensure that we change behaviors after a training course?
By practice, I think.
Okay. Now, partly it's a trick question. We need to change our behaviors during training so that we change them enough that after, when the trainer and the other people have gone, we're still doing it. So that's why we need a program of sticky learning, a training program over 6 weeks. First, we need to learn it. Second, we need to retain it. And third, we need to use it. And then we go round the same loop. So we've got to learn, retain it, and use it. And on our programs, we teach people how to mind map and why they forget and how to use things like mnemonics to keep the training in our head. Who knows what a mnemonic is?
It's like a device used to remember, like a mnemonic device can be letters or like, let's say, a riddle that you use to remember something.
Brilliant. So we encourage the learner to create mnemonics and metaphors and analogies to help it stick in their heads. The one I remember from school for the 4 points of the compass, my school was a bit strange, is naughty elephant squirted water. And that stuck in my head for too many years. So when we teach you negotiation skills, we're asking you to come up with your own mnemonics because you need to retain it before you can use it. All right. Shall we talk negotiation skills? Okay, let's do that for a moment. I'm going to come back to some of the questions before we move on to that. Hamad, you talked about being outsmarted and including head count as an example. Do you remember?
Yeah.
So what I think might help you is what we call the conditional agreement. So what I believe from your short sentences is happening at the moment is your boss is saying, well, Hamad, if you go and do that, we'll have a chat. If you go and do that, we'll have a chat. And they just keep pushing, as we would say, the can down the road. And you're a bit like a donkey and a carrot. You're forever chasing the carrot. Would that be fair? Maybe.
Hamad, is that situation explaining your way of getting the deal with your manager?
I mean, somehow, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a conditional thing. They call it conditional agreement. Yeah.
So what we would do in negotiation terms is we'd say, boss, what you want me to do is this, this, and this. I understand that. If I get these three done, are we agreeing to this, this, and this? And we're trying to get the agreement made up front so that you can then go back and say, I've done these three things. Now it's your turn to do these three things. Otherwise, they are going to forever kick the can down the road. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yusuf, I'd like to come back to your question, which was around different communication. Often in negotiation, when we're negotiating with our opponent, we are talking German and they're hearing French. All right. Now, broadly, there are 4 ways of communicating. There are facts, form, feelings, and future, to take one model called Ned Herman's model. We need to communicate however they understand. I'll give you an example. I've got a friend who is fabulous at pub quizzes. We go to the pub, he does a quiz, he retains everything. He's a fact-based guy. If I'm negotiating with him and I'm summarizing where we are, I need to put it in facts.
Okay.
I've got another friend who's a feelings person, the type of person that when you walk in the room, they touch your elbow, they give you a hug. They're a feelings type person. Talking to them about facts is not going to float their boat. They'll be hearing French and you're talking in German.
Okay.
So we're trying. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. So that's mean maybe it's different from person to person.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And one of the arts of negotiation is understanding your component and trying to communicate in a way to them that they understand. Are they a facts person, a feelings person, a future person, or a form, which is structure person? All right. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's clear.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
All right. I'm going to come to Ahmed. Ahmed, you still here?
Yes, yes, sir.
All right. Cool. Thank you. You talked about middle ground. So I'm going to share with you my opinion, and it's just my opinion. Negotiation and haggling. Now, this is a question for everyone, but particularly it's for you, Ahmed. What's the difference between those two, negotiating and haggling?
I mean, I'm just guessing. I mean, I'd say one of them would be more, personal, more aggressive, haggling as opposed to negotiating.
Sort of. So I'll give you an example. I went on holiday to Ibiza last year, and I'm at the market, and there's handbags, and there's Roy Bon sunglasses. I'm sure they're supposed to be Ray-Ban, but hey, they're only €3. Now, what we typically do there is we haggle. Haggle is a valid form of resolving a conflict. And Ahmed, you and I are haggling over these sunglasses. Where do you start? You're trying to sell me these sunglasses. What's the price you might start at?
You mean haggling to go lower with the price, right?
Yes.
I mean, if I'm the seller, you mean I'd go higher than 3. That's for sure. So
Good.
maybe I'll start with something around 10.
Brilliant. So Ahmed, you start with 10. Where would I then start?
I mean, I'd say lower than 3.
Farah's at 1. Okay, so you're at 10. And what typically happens?
Middle ground.
Brilliant. We meet in the middle ground. Haggling is a valid form of resolving a conflict. But here's the bit that's controversial. It is not negotiating. Haggling, negotiating, different. Most people think they're negotiating when they're haggling. They're not. They're two different disciplines, two different skills with two different ways of approaching it. All right. So haggle, great. Negotiating, great, but they're not the same and they're both valid. What's the main difference between when I'm haggling and when I'm negotiating? Let's try someone else.
Yeah, sir, but I have only question about the haggling and the negotiation. Which one is the best for using, or it's depend on the situation?
Brilliant. You've answered. It depends on the situation. So typically we haggle when we're buying Roy Bon sunglasses. All right.
Okay.
Now, the difference is that haggling is normally on one thing, price, and we meet in the middle. Negotiation is a much more of an art form. It's much more of a skill. It's much more complex. Negotiating has many, many variables. Haggling normally has one. All right. So except they're both skills, they're both valid. We're talking about negotiating here, which is not haggling. So Ahmed, when you talk about meeting in the middle ground, you're haggling. What I'd like to help you to do is understand negotiation, which is not meeting in the middle ground. Sometimes you compromise, sometimes you don't. There's a fabulous conflict model called Thomas Kilman, created by two fabulous people who said that we have 5 behaviors when we're in conflict. It's well worth looking that up. We just won't have time to do it today. What you're trying to do is understand which of those 5 behaviors you default to. And broadly, they're avoiding, competing, accommodating, compromising, collaborating. You default to one of those. Each one of them is valid, has an advantage and a disadvantage. The trick is to figure out which one you are and whether you can stretch to another one in different situations. I'm going to pause there because I've talked a lot. What questions do you have?
Me either. I'm digesting. Yeah, because usually we have this kind of negotiation even with our, let's say, top management or even with the clients. We're trying to find a middle ground. However, the middle ground is not very clear for both sides because each one has something have or to say. Farah, can you mute yourself, please? I think there is some. Yeah. Okay. For that, we're trying to reach a middle ground. This is what we call it middle ground, and nobody's winning after this
Yes.
kind of negotiation. So maybe how can we win after that kind of reaching at least a clear um, value or a clear, let's say, outcome of this negotiation, if it happened, a negotiation? Maybe this is the next question. Hmm.
So I'm going to share this book. It's not my book, unfortunately. A really good book by an FBI hostage negotiator. So this is really good. And it says never split the difference, never meet in the middle ground. Fabulous book. Highly recommended. All right. So how do you win? Let's come back to preparing for a negotiation, because that's where it begins. How do people, not you guys, maybe you guys, how do people tend to prepare for negotiations?
For me, sir, basically, I summarize what I want. And first thing, what I do, I put my target in my negotiation. What's
Okay.
my target from this negotiation? This is number one. Number two, try my best to, for example, getting on the middle. Let's say not 100% to get my target, but I'm trying my best to get my high percentage from this negotiation, or from what I needed from this negotiation.
Fabulous. Good. Like that. Anyone else? Ahmed. Looks like he's coming in.
Uh, one thing I one thing I think is important is to determine my non-negotiables.
Okay. That's good. That's good. All right. Farah, anything to add? Don't have to. Just thought you might.
No, just know if the person I'm asking whatever of is able to give me that, uh, whatever I want to know. Like if I'm asking HR something that maybe only finance can get, like you know who I'm asking, know the person that I'm asking these demands from.
Okay. Okay. All right. Typically, most people have a think and they might write something down. The challenge with the preparation for negotiation is there's no structure. All right. A bit like building a house without a blueprint. What I'm going to share with you is this. Now, we'll send it to you afterwards. This is what we call the square dance. I'll show you it again in a moment. The square dance is one page, a simple template that encourages you to think of all the things you want to do in the negotiation, what you want, what you don't want, and how you're going to approach it. I'll give you a couple of examples just because of time. Up here, we're asking ourselves what we're wishing for. And what we're wishing for, coming back to Yusuf's point, is three things probably. What we're asking ourselves here is what's our walkaway? What's our genuine, unless I get this, I'm gone. And then on the right and the left are what we call the grease of the negotiation engine. It's the variables. This is where your negotiations get stuck because you don't have enough in here or here. So if I come back to what we were talking about, Ahmed, I'm buying these Roy bonds from you and we're not haggling, we're now negotiating. I'm going to introduce other variables. I might say, can I buy it in cash? Could I buy three? Because I've got two other people here that might want them. And they're the types of variables that go in here. Then in here, we talk about tools and tactics. Now on our website, we'll send you a link. There are 50 negotiation tools that you can use. Don't try and learn them all. It's just not worth it. But I would encourage you to add 1, 2, or 3 to your toolbox. Coming back to your question, Farah, one I'd like to ask you to add is push and pull. It's a very powerful influencing technique. Has anyone heard of it?
Yeah, I think you should know when you start your negotiation, you should know when you will be, for example, aggressive or as a slower person.
Okay. Okay. That's slightly different to what I'm talking about, and you are right. You need to understand what tone you're going to bring to the meeting. Push and pull is one of the simplest and most powerful influencing techniques about. If you if you're on a spectrum of push and pull, here's push. Push is This is what's in my head. This is what I'm thinking. This is my vision. This is where I want to go. Pull is let me understand what's in your head. What are you thinking? What would you like? And the challenge is that you're on this spectrum somewhere. You're either a natural pusher or a natural puller, and that's okay. Our challenge in negotiation is to be one or the other according to where you are in the negotiation. You're either pulling information from them or pushing information. And with you, Farah, if you want to have more influence, then sometimes you'll need to either be doing more push or more pull, regardless of gender. It's a powerful influencing technique that trumps gender, that trumps anything else. Most of the time, and bear with me as I do averages, women are more pulling and men are more pushing. So I would encourage the women more to push, and push is still very assertive. It's not aggressive. It's assertive in terms of this is my idea. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I'd like us to do. So I'm encouraging women more to push and men to more pull. But that's very generic. Okay, again, I'm going to pause because I've talked an awful lot. Farah, did that make sense?
Yeah, it did. It did. I think it's just that sometimes, again, it's very subtle. Like you're saying, negotiating is very subtle. So sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what I'm asking for. Maybe that's part of the preparation that I don't know when to push and pull because I don't know what's on the table at times.
Okay, well that's fabulous. So let me follow up on that right now. You're in a negotiation and you don't know what's on the table. What question could you ask? Question for everyone. What question could Farah ask at that point in her negotiation?
Maybe what's in it for me?
Could be.
Hmm?
What else? I'm not looking for just one question. This is a varied amount.
Yeah, I mean, basically, how can I get more of what I want?
Oh, what's available? What could you offer me? What's on the table? Now, you may get a no or nothing to all of those, but hey, let's ask. Who knows? So sometimes we just need to ask with a good open question. My belief is that 100% of people understand the difference between open and closed questions, and 100% of people use closed questions. I exaggerate. We understand open questions, we typically don't use them. What does a good open question start with? What one word?
What?
Brilliant. So has got it. If we can just start our negotiation, sorry, if we can just start the questions in our negotiation with the word what, the rest will flow. It's what typically happens, and I see a lot of people that I trained over the last 20 years, they start their question with, well, can I have? It's gone. And then what they do is add another question because they want to fill the silence. By the time it's done, they've asked three closed questions. The other person's looking at them, not knowing what the hell they've asked. They don't really know, and it's a waste of effort. Ask one good open question, beginning with what, and then be quiet. And see what
So
comes.
that means, sir, even if we are want to make any question, we should choose the words before we are questioning. Is
Yes.
that my right?
Yes, you are right. Unless you're in stage 3, we haven't done stages because of time. Stage 3 of the negotiation, where you're summarizing, you're asking closed questions in order to understand, is this what we have agreed? Is it in the blue color you want? Is it by Friday? You're just closing it down to make sure you've got it right. That's when we ask closed questions, right towards the end when we're summarizing and closing. Okay. Now I'm aware it's 4:34. So what questions do you have or other things you would like to discuss here?
Yes. Yeah. Okay,
Go on.
Farah.
Sorry,
Yes,
I was wondering. Yeah, I was wondering if you could go over the square dance worksheet, like explain how that thinking goes.
Yeah. So you have a one-page A4 template. And before your negotiation, you're asking yourself a number of questions where you complete this template. What are my top 3 wishes? This price, by this date, and this color. They're my top 3. Now, there's lots of things you want, but your top 3 go here. What's my walkaway? So these are variations of this. If this is £1, then this is 80 pence. So I want £1, but I will walk away at 79. I'll accept 80 pence. All right. So you put these here and here, they're on a spectrum from wish to walk away. On the left and right, you're brainstorming things that you can give. So if you were buying a second-hand car, I could pay you in cash. I could get my brother along because he might want a car. You might give those sorts of things. On this side, you're taking. I'd like a free tank of petrol, an MOT free, a service free, and I'd like your dog. Whatever the things are. So these sides of the square dance are the grease that keeps your negotiation moving forward. It stops you hitting stalemates. All right. Then in the middle, the bit we often don't do is prepare what tools are we going to use? What's going to work with this person? Coming back to Youssef's point, we're going to put in the middle of here, this person's a fact-based person. So let's remind ourselves to try and talk in facts more. And also we're going to use the up and over tool, the Russian front, and if you then I. I'm just now intriguing you with tool names. All right. And you might pick 2 or 3 tools that will help you to win this negotiation. We're not going to get to middle ground, Ahmed. We're going to get what we want. Because we prepared, because we're structured, and by doing this, we end up walking into all the blind spots in practice before we do in real life. Because if we can walk into those blind spots in practice, we can solve them. So when we hit them in real life, we can keep going. We have a phrase here, which is to sweat in training so we don't bleed in battle. All right, we want to sweat in training, we want to sweat our preparation. Then ideally, if you and I, Ahmed, are going into a negotiation, I might say, Farah, can you and I have 20 minutes? Can I work through this negotiation with you so that we can win this when I go into battle with Ahmed? Okay. All right, other questions?
I think Ahmed has a question. Please go ahead, Ahmed.
Yeah. Mr. Smith, this is something that Ms. Suha mentioned earlier in this session, and I'm sure there is a long, detailed answer to this question. But in your professional opinion, do you think Donald Trump is a good negotiator?
Yes. Yes. Because he's created such a profile and such a persona that you almost don't want to negotiate with him. You almost accept whatever he says is the truth, even when it's complete not truth. And isn't that really powerful that he's won the negotiations before he starts negotiating? Because people are just scared of his profile. Donald Trump could say anything with confidence and we'd all go, yeah, I think he's right.
Yeah, I mean,
That remind me of sometimes when you deal with board member or something, on that level they have this kind of personality because the power of the, let's say, the position and whatever come with it, it's give them this kind of pushy, let's say, they push their opinion and their decision and their direction, even if it's not correct, but you don't want to negotiate, so sometimes you take it. And now here's your smartness, or how you will deal with this decision and how you plan with renegotiate and come back to them with your, let's say, opinion. If they are factorial people, you have to present facts. If they are emotional, you have to present some kind of emotions. And we've been through this a whole day, and sometimes we're switching even our personalities. With people with facts, we go with facts and charts and numbers, whatever. And with people with emotions, as Darren said, yes, we try to give them some sympathy or empathy just to be with them. And that's it. So sometimes it's a whole tricky game, honestly, the negotiation. So Ahmed, please, yeah, you have something to say.
I mean, that's thank you for that insight. I mean, that's something I definitely noticed following up on the U.S. elections in the past few years. I mean, he speaks with, he projects so much confidence and to the level of grandiosity. It's not only confidence that it just makes you not to be intimidated to challenge whatever he's saying. So that I think is something that definitely he's good at. So it's an interesting.
Let me bring it to life with an example. I'm selling you all this book, right? I'm going to do it two ways. Spot the difference. This book is $4.99. I hope you buy it. $4.99 for this book. You need to buy it. The book's still $4.99, but you will have bought it from the second one, not the first one. It's about the words we use, the body language, and the tone. If it has confidence, if we believe it, you'll believe it. If you don't believe it, they won't believe it.
And this Darren came basically sometimes with the let's say raise, if we want some raise for salaries or some deals or something, we don't know how to present these kind of, let's say, what's our need. It's a factorial thing. We need to present why we need it and what's the impact on us and the organization. So sometimes this is where we stuck. And most of the people, they don't know how to negotiate an increment in their salary if they're, let's say, want an increase, or let's say if they want to have more benefits, or if they want even to leave the organization. Sometimes they're stuck. We saw them. They're stuck because they don't have the word to say it, or they don't have the, let's say, the technique, let's say.
Well, in the last few minutes we've got, I'm going to share one technique that will help you get the salary increase that you want. Would that be okay? There's a very powerful, simple tool, and it's the most taught tool in the world for negotiation skills. I'd love to own it. It's not mine, right? It's called If You, Then I. If you can increase my salary by 5%, then I will increase my productivity, win you this client, make you this amount of more money. If you, then I. The reason it's powerful is it's in two parts. It asks them what they're going to give, and it tells them what you're going to give. It's a simple technique for making proposals in negotiations. So simple, most people skip past it. It is super powerful.
Amazing. Good. I'm going to use it. Definitely.
All right. Now I'm just
I will
conscious
start
of...
from
Sorry.
today to use it.
Good.
I will
Well,
I will start from today to use it.
Okay, yeah. Tomorrow we all go to the HR and asking them.
Yusuf, if you do, if you use it and you win an increase in salary, then I get half. Are we agreed?
Yeah, I'm agreed. Sure, I'm agreed.
I'll send you my bank details. All right. Now I'm just conscious of your time. So I think I've answered all the questions you put to me at the start. Has everyone got an answer to this? Yeah, to their question. All right. The last bit we're going to do is I'm going to show you this, which is our Sticky Learning Negotiation Skills Program. It's a 6-week program, in Kuwait starting next year. That is my only pitch. It's 20 seconds. If you're up for it, we'll send you a link to register your interest. If you're not, it was lovely to meet you anyway.
Yeah, good. Of course, we're gonna host, inshallah. Darren is coming to Kuwait next year on a personal level, because we're partners and we're friends for a long time. I learned a lot from Darren, and I want to bring this knowledge honestly to the Kuwaiti community, to everyone in Kuwait. And so, if you like to know more about the program, just email me or email Darren. You know now where we are standing in LinkedIn, and of course, most of you knows me. So maybe you can WhatsApp or email me. We can send you the details. And looking forward, of course, to have you, if you are interested, in that program. It's 6 weeks. However, not all of it will be attending. It will be a hybrid way of learning and coaching by Darren himself, not me. I'm just the godmother of the thing. Darren is the expert. Okay. And hopefully we can gain Darren, one of his experiences, why I'm interested about his knowledge. Of course, I'm using most of his coaching cards, planners, only on myself and some of my coaching clients. And if you want any coaching session, please contact me. We can use some of your tools to them so they can see. Darren, he's been teaching in Saudi Arabia and, of course, in UAE. And I think you're with Aramco or Sabic. Just remind me. Where did you, Aramco, or where you have some training and coaching sessions in the Gulf region? You told me before, I forgot.
Yes, Aramco. Sorry, yes. Yes, I explained, yes.
So, yeah, Aramco, yeah, because the pronunciation is different between the Arabic thing. Okay, with the Aramco, and in UAE, he was with one of the biggest airlines companies there as a coach and mentor for their leaders to move ahead in their career. So the 6 weeks is the terminology of how we use it for building your leadership skills, how to do the next level of you moving, let's say, up the ladder. And of course, if you're, let's say, in any kind of sector, even if you are a mother or father, you need this kind of leadership, let's say, skills. And this is where coaching is coming, not just a training. Training is just transfer the knowledge. Coaching is different. It's how we, specifically Darren, guide you to move and take your hand through these kind of steps. It's like moving you through how you do negotiation. We have so many things into that journey. If you see the brochure, it's like a milk thing. We're gonna try to feed you until you grow, inshallah. Yeah.
I love your metaphor. Nice mnemonic. Like it.
Yeah, mnemonic, yeah. And we really appreciate your time. I know it's Wednesday, going towards the weekend, and also Darren, I appreciate your time. It's beyond your working hours, but thank you for being here with me. I just want to introduce you, and of course to some of the experts in Kuwait. And definitely it's maybe the first time you will be coming to Kuwait, and I'm very glad to have you here among us. So thank you. Anyone want to say anything before we close?
Thank you so much, Darren.
Wonderful.
It was amazing and wonderful.
So appreciate
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so
Good to meet
much.
you all.
And yeah, nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice.
Take care,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Take care.
Nice to
Have a
meet
good
you.
night. Yeah,
You
thank
too.
you. Thank you.